Welcome to the Flashcast series by Full Spectrum Education.
Welcome to the final episode of the series with Lachie from the Man That Can project. We just wanted to give a massive shout out to Lachie and thank him so much for being on the show. So for the final episode, Lachie is going to be talking about why you must learn to say no. Thanks again to Lachie for being on the show, and we hope you enjoy the final episode.
Welcome back, guys. So this week we're talking about why you must learn to say no. Such a cool lesson that I learned, and something that I'm still looking to get better at every single day. It is hard to say no. You're probably sitting there nodding, going, "You're bloody right," because I know how hard it is to say no. Various circumstances, thoughts that run through your mind. There's often times where I go, "Oh, that could lead to a great opportunity," or "I don't want to say no to that person. They need my help," right? But ultimately, as I touched on about 3 episodes ago, if you don't help yourself first, it's really, really hard to help other people. Has anyone seen the movie Yes Man? It has Jim Carrey in it, and he says yes to everything. I think it was for 12 months or something like that. He just said yes. And obviously, one thought that always goes through my mind when I think about saying no, I always think, could that lead me to a new understanding? Could it lead me to a new opportunity? Could it lead me to a new audience? Right? I always think about what it could potentially bring. So when that pops through my head, it makes it really hard to say no, because I'm always thinking of what it could bring, not what it takes. And the more we go through life saying yes, it does bring different perspectives. It does bring a lot into it, but it also takes. There's always a trade-off. There's always a sacrifice. And when we're working towards something, when you're, whether you're working to understand yourself better, you're working on some fitness goals, you're working on your relationships, you're working on saving money, there are ways you can fast track that, right? By what you choose to focus on. There are things that are going to fast track that, and there are things that are going to probably be detrimental to that. And when we make a decision, and I think one of the reasons why I am challenged from time to time, because all those thoughts that I mentioned earlier go through my head, I then think, what if I lose that big opportunity? And I thought about this for a long while, and I also know a lot of us men, and I'll speak to the men directly here because I work with a lot of you, we struggle to make decisions, right? And saying yes is a decision, and saying no is a decision, and saying maybe is also a decision. Maybe is really just leaving everything up to chance. And so maybe I don't care enough to make a decision, I'll just let whatever plays out, play out. So there is decision in no decision. And ultimately, when we set goals and when we decide on what we want for our life, if we're doing that correctly, we should be knowing what things are going to, what are going to be the most important things that are going to get you to the goal, allow you to achieve the results that you want, right? And there are also going to be things that really just keep you busy. And what I've learned over the years, I was at a point where I was just running around like a blue-ass fly, and I felt like I should have been more successful because I was so busy. And then as I started to get coaches and reflect on how I was spending my time, I realized I was just being busy. I wasn't actually doing anything that was having a significant impact on my business. A lot of those things, had I left them a day or two, I probably wouldn't have spent any time worrying about doing them. But because they popped up at that point in my time, I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And then I became busy again. And it led me to feeling frustrated. It led me to feeling tired. It led me to just falling short on everything that I was doing. I was spread so thin that I couldn't achieve anything very well. So I want you to think about this, and we're all at different stages on the journey in this, and I think, I've still got a long way to go in mastering this, but I also have a great understanding of how it impacts me, is when you set those goals and you set those boundaries, it's really important to start working on the discipline to implement it. right? We draw a line in the sand, and we got to make sure we step over it and don't look back. So when you make a yes decision, and a yes could be to yourself. So saying no to something else is a yes to yourself, right? A yes to yourself. So when you make that decision, don't allow yourself to second guess it. It's easy to go, oh, maybe in hindsight that could have worked out well. Of course, hindsight's a beautiful thing, and I wish we all had a crystal ball and could figure it out. But if you just trust your gut and go with the decision that you believe is going to serve you best and put all your energy and focus onto that, you will make it the best decision you've made. 100%. Right? It's generally those who say yes or say no but don't really commit to it. They go, oh, I'll just say one or the other because it's a maybe, but I don't really want to do it. Right? That's still a maybe. If you know you're going to respond in that way where you're umming and ahhing and you don't really want to be doing it, just say no. It's going to avoid a lot of stress and pain moving forward. And that comes from honest communication with yourself. So think about this, guys. And this is the way I structure myself. Every day, I will set myself 3 intentions or 3 tasks that I need to get done. And these 3 tasks, I believe, at this point in time, with the resources and knowledge that I have, are going to have the most significant improvement on me achieving the goals that I have set for the day. Now, anything that is not more important than that, I won't even worry about. And if it keeps popping up day after day, I'll do it. If it doesn't, I knew it was just something there to make myself busy. And because I know I have committed to those 3 things, I know I am sacrificing something else, but I believe that by doing these things and making that sacrifice, I am making the best decision for where I want to get to. Right, so that I know that if I start moving towards those things I've committed, I'm going to do whatever it is in my power to achieve that. And through every decision and taking those actions, I'm going to get feedback, right? And this goes back to what we spoke about a few weeks ago, that the feedback is going to be relative to me, and I might find out that there could have been a better way, right? Hindsight. But I also don't beat myself up for it because I go, right, at that point in time, with the resources that I had and the understanding that I had, I believed that was the best decision. And had I questioned that from the start and allowed myself to feel overwhelmed, I still would have got to that realization, but it would have been a stressful experience. Right? The more decisions we can make in our life, the less overwhelm we allow. It's when we keep leaving things out of our control and not taking responsibility or saying maybe or not making decisions, like I said, you're allowing too many other factors to come into play and you're not really committing to anything. And, I know full well how crazy and stressful it can be feeling overwhelmed. So the moment that I started making decisions, and obviously the decision here, learning to say no, learning to put myself first and learning to do things that are ultimately going to benefit me, my life has dramatically changed. I've become more confident in myself. The results that I've created for myself have become better. I've become a better friend, partner, son, all because I learned to say no. And it's like any muscle, guys. It's something that you got to practice. There's going to be times where you're like, oh, I want to say no, but I'm not going to. Been there a million times. Still do it today. But there are also going to be times where you say no when you really wanted to say no, and you're going to pat yourself on the back going, you're the man. So glad I did that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I've appreciated everyone listening over the last couple of episodes, and I am sure you got a ton of value. So thank you very much.
Thanks for listening to today's Flashcast. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to email into us at info@fsedu.com.au, and be sure to tune into our social channels so you don't miss the next episode. Thanks, see you next time.